Welcome back, my homies. Today I want to talk about some hot button issues in the community and whether or not they're really hot button issues at all. You see, there's a definite group of people that are strongly against or for AI art and AI tools for dungeon masters, safety tools, and whether or not they belong at a table. And then, of course, there's paid DMing. Pay people to DM for you. Start Playing is a great place to find a whole bunch of DMs doing that. But the thing is, are they really hot button issues? Now, the people, when you post online and you talk about and you ask about any of those issues, I'm going to tell you that AI is wrong, that we should not be using it, it's stolen content. They might be right, but if you look at your forums, if you look at your Reddit post, it might seem as if the entire community is against the use of AI or against paid DMing. But is it true? I'm not so sure, and I'm going to show you why. See, if you make a video online and you get some views on it, then you can kind of see what happens with the percentage of likes to dislikes. And it can really start to give you a good idea about what the community really feels about a subject that you're talking about. So today I want to share with you some behind the scenes information, some stats. A little over a year ago, I published this video. It's a video about Start Playing. It's because I just decided one day that I was going to try Start Playing. I'd never paid for DMing before that point, and I just wanted to see what happened with it. So I put out a video where I discussed my experience with it. It was not a sponsored video. I wasn't paid to do it by anybody, although I should start getting paid for this stuff. I'm just kidding. But what happened was kind of interesting. One, the video did very well for us. For a channel our size to get over 10,000 views on a video, that's not bad, and that's not nothing. But what you can do when you have that kind of sampling is I can start to look at it a little bit closer. Where usually if I had posted, let's say on a Facebook group for Dungeons & Dragons, or if I'd gone to Reddit and asked anybody, what do you think about paid DMing? There's going to be a large percentage of people that are going to come at you with it. They're going to tell you that it's wrong, that it's eroding the hobby. If you were to look at that one thread, that one discussion, you might get the idea that the community as a whole is against it, or even a majority of the community against it. But is that true? Well, let's take a look. So on this page, you can see my likes versus my dislikes. Now, remember that this video is very pro paid DMing. It's pro Start Playing. I had a generally good experience with it, and I recommended that other people try it, even if they just pick a cheap one shot. Just give it a go and see what you think. See if you enjoy the idea of jumping into a game anytime you want to. But as you can see here, the like percentage, the percentage of people who hit that like button instead of the dislike button, was 96.5%. So what that says to us is that people are good with the idea. People like the idea, especially if you show them how it can be a good thing for their hobby, their game, their enjoyment. The problem is that when you post things online, you get a lot of white knights. Those white knights will fight to the death for their internet points. And some of them have really good reasons, and they definitely have a place in the community because they cause an uproar when we need to be in an uproar. The Wizards of the Coast thing and the OpenGL thing, well, was a lot. And every talking head on every platform was just going nuts and making up things and just carrying on. They did get enough of the community to respond to it, to get the whole thing reversed and to put Wizards of the Coast back in their own lane. So there is some valid good reasons to have these white knights. However, a lot of them are just kind of trolls, just out there just trying to make other people feel bad about themselves. Let's talk about AI art or AI tools for the hobby. Now, AI is one of the hottest issues to talk about. You cannot say the word AI without getting banned from some groups. Now, full disclosure, I do use a lot of AI on the channel. I use it to create these little goofy goblins and stuff that illustrate points that I'm trying to make. I'm not making a ton of money off of this, and I'm sure I'll get flamed in the comments for even mentioning that, but that's okay. I can take it. Now, I haven't specifically done a video talking about for or against AI. I think it's pretty obvious with a lot of artwork on this channel that we are not against AI. I mean, I'm for, responsibly sourcing it. Stable Diffusion does have some libraries that actually allow you to produce AI art in a way that has licensed images. I know there are some available AI art from Adobe, which actually use its own images to train AI. Now, some people will argue that that's not completely 100% correct because the base model was trained with, just open source, scour the internet, pull in images, and then they fine-tuned it with what they had. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but this is just a channel on D&D. I'm not going to go broke trying to hire artists in order to make a goblin appear just to make a funny point. Now, because I haven't done AI as a topic in my videos specifically, I reached out to my friend DM Timothy. He's a good friend of mine, and he actually has a great D&D channel if you want to get some good DM tips from him as well. Now, he provided for me his stats on a specific AI video where he was talking about AI tools for the hobby. Now, as you can see here, and this one reacts a little bit different from Start Playing, but it still kind of tells the same story. He had 144 likes and 83.7% of them were positive. The other, 17-ish% negative. That definitely means that there's a stronger reaction to AI in the community versus paid DMing, but it's still there. Like, it's still the majority of the people were totally cool with AI art. When it first started, everybody was just playing around on Midjourney, making images of their characters. And then it became an issue when people started educating themselves on where AI art comes from, at least to some extent. Now, I will argue from a technical point of view that a lot of the white knights out there that are fighting AI with their crusades and the forums and Reddit, that they maybe aren't the most educated people on the subject, but I do think their voices should be heard. But you shouldn't take a handful of white knights and extrapolate their opinion out to the entire community, because it's just not true. 83% of the community has no issue with AI art. Now, moving on, well, you can talk about safety tools. Now, this is one that, okay, Dan is the other person on this channel, and he's awesome. He games for me. We play games together. He's a great guy. And he wanted to do a video just discussing safety tools. Now, he doesn't use safety tools in any of the games that I've been in. As a DM, he's never introduced us to the table in any serious kind of way. I honestly believe, and I don't, I guess, agree with some people in the hobby that they're even that necessary. I think most of it is just a failure to do session zeros properly. Now, this video got a lot less views. It was only about 450, and some of it, we're learning here. So our video editing, our ability to produce good content is on a constant incline, but it's also a slope. And so depending on where you get us in that slope is how good of the video, the quality, and our showmanship is going to be. Now, with his 450 views on a video about safety tools, he has managed to amass a like percentage of less than 30%. That means 70% of the people who watched that video either didn't like Dan or didn't like the idea of safety tools. Now, I'm kind of in the camp that I don't like the idea of safety tools, but again, what I like and what you like in the games can be totally different because we're not in the same game. Me personally, I think if you do a good session zero, then you can skip the safety tools because the people that you're around understand what you expect out of the game and what you expect they expect. Now, I did have a very interesting guy in the comment on Facebook. He posted, and I wish I could credit him, but I don't have it in front of me. He commented that you should not worry about safety tools, but you also should never play D&D with somebody you wouldn't take a road trip with. And that is a great way to say it. I mean, it's true. Why would you jump into a D&D game that could last for a very long time with somebody that you don't think you could have a conversation with in real life? Now, that brings us back to the paid DMing thing. And one thing that I've always had a problem with Start Playing, I mentioned it in my original video.
And 70% of successful D&D games or campaigns is the chemistry between the DM and the other players at the table collectively. Yet here on Start Playing, I can only see the About Me section of the DM, but I have no insight to the other players at the table.
And that is that we don't know our players. We get a little blurb about the DM and how they DM, but we don't know anything about the player coming in next to us. That being said, we don't know if we would jump in the car for a road trip with these random people that we have on Start Playing. And that's where you have a bit of a trade-off with Start Playing. Yes, you're paying for DMing. You're getting the exact game that you want, the exact time you want, and the exact amount of times a week, and whatever else you want. You can play the characters you want. Your DM is going to be there to serve you the game and allow you to play how you want. But you're also at the mercy of the other people at the table. In a recent game that I had where I had done play-by-post, a guy quit the game because I burned a building down as a distraction. It was an abandoned building. There was nobody in it. I just lit a fire there so they'd have to put out the fire while I jumped from roof to roof and got what I needed to get done. That's weird to me, but that's the game. I mean, if he had safety tools, I guess he could have tossed up some sort of, I don't know how you would be offended by that, but people get offended by weird stuff. But that's just the expectations of the game. We were complete strangers. We hadn't played together before, and he had a different idea of how he wanted D&D to go than I did. Now, that's an extrapolation of safety tools, of course, because safety tools are more meant to protect people that have trauma in their lives, and I get that. I do. The issue I have is that we don't have these safety tools at movie theaters. When we go to see a movie, we don't know everything that's going to happen in the movie. We have a rating on it, which ratings I could agree with. I think you could put a rating in a D&D game of R or PG-13 or G, and people should be able to live by that, and that's maybe a great way to do things. But your safety tool at a movie theater is just simply to get up and leave. Now, what I can take from this, and though we have to extrapolate it because this video was a little fuzzy and he was holding a card upside down, which was hilarious, is that 29% are for safety tools at a table, where 70% are against. Now, against safety tools at a table is a weird stance to take. You would maybe have them against safety tools at your table, and you just don't want to play with people that maybe feel the need to have those kind of protections. And that's okay, because that's your choice. You're playing the game you want to play. But me, for one, I don't agree with them. I prefer just to have an open session zero where we discuss how we're going to behave. I've seen checklists on the things that are okay, and I think that's good. I think somebody should come up with some way of charting your tolerance in a way that you can match people up. Start playing. If you're listening, you might want to start thinking about how players can more clearly detail what kind of player they are and what kind of game they're expecting. But as far as safety tools go, it's just not a subject most people want to hear about. There's also a lot of old timers in the hobby that just aren't going to hear that stuff. If you remember the original D&D games, they were considerably tougher. There was less padding, whether it be plot armor or whatnot. The mechanics definitely were less forgiving. What do you guys think? What do you do? Would you go with the flow of what other people in forums say? It's easy to do that, or at least they can present a logical argument. Or do you just kind of decide for yourself? Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.